You're still asking a mid-sized New Zealand organisation with likely no AI risk team and maybe one or two overworked IT staff to write and maintain dozens of use cases, rules in fields that reinvent themselves every 12 months. How is this not the same individuals who can't keep up problem that we've already diagnosed?
Because of the third piece, and this is where everything in this conversation connects, governance should scale with the maturity ladder. So you do not need level 5 governance at level 1. At level 1, you need personal accountability and acceptable use basics, and that's it. One page, honestly kept. At levels 2 and 3, you add team and organizational controls as the context and the impact increases. So control the blast radius. And at levels 4 and 5, here is the key move. Governance stops being a document at all. It becomes part of the system that actually works. So it's part of the harness.
Hang on, say that again, because that's a really valuable consideration.
Yeah, the controls that make AI work well are often the same controls that make it safe. That means one investment can improve both performance and governance.
So when a vendor tells me their agent is fully autonomous, my first governance question should be,
show me the evals. Show me what acceptance criteria you have in place. If they cannot provide it, the word autonomous means unsupervised. Those are different words. Evals are the tests you write before AI starts. Clear, checkable criteria. What does done look like? What must be true for the AI output to be acceptable? If you cannot write that down, you are not ready to hand the task to an agent. Simple as that.
This makes my process-loving OCD very happy. Prefacing autonomous agents with well-designed evaluation criteria aligns perfectly with iTool's change enablement implementation phases. These phases are designed to help organizations assess risk and determine overall success, which is what ultimately everyone wants for their AI use cases as well. There's a new challenge with AI that I'd like to bring up, and a month ago I'd have called it theoretical, but in June, the US government put export controls on frontier AI model for the first time in history. And for about 3 weeks, that model went dark for everyone outside a handful of approved organizations, including everyone in New Zealand. We're all watching that very closely.
Very closely indeed. And I want listeners to sit with what actually happened. On June the 12th, the US Commerce Department ordered one AI lab to cut off access to its newest models for foreign nationals. The lab could not check nationality in real time, so it switched the models off for everyone worldwide for nearly 3 weeks. If your business process depended on it, your process stopped. Not because of cyber tech, not because of an outage, because of a policy decision in Washington. That's why sovereignty now belongs inside the AI governance conversation. The question every organization should ask is simple. What is fallback if excess pricing or policy changes overnight? Because we now know we can.
And what's the answer? Build our own models? Is that feasible for New Zealand-based mid-market companies?
Or not necessarily. We can choose. Two big things are happening at the moment. Firstly, the openly available AI models are catching up quickly to the biggest closed frontier models. Open models means the model is available for others to download and run on their own infrastructure rather than only available through a company's service. So instead of relying entirely on a major AI provider, business could run the model on its own infrastructure. Secondly, these models, these open models, are becoming cheaper and easier to run while still, improving in quality. Until recently, I would not have called open models viable for serious commercial applications. My honest view now, within 12 months or even sooner than that, they become a real option. At the very least, as a fallback for the US frontier models.
Do you think anyone in New Zealand's actually doing this yet?
What's happening now? I'm working with a client in the healthcare sector to implement exactly this, a locally run model on infrastructure they control. And think about why healthcare is first. The most sensitive data in the country is the personal health data. Strict rules about where the data can go and services that cannot simply stop for 3 weeks because a decision made in another country. So for this, healthcare sector, sovereignty is not a philosophy; it's an operational requirement.
So, what's your guidance now? Abandon the closed frontier models?
No, I am suggesting more like portfolio thinking. So, we should use closed frontier models where we need the most, power, reasoning power, and intelligence, and open models for secure, sensitive, work. And secondly, have a fallback. The open model use open models as a fallback. So if the frontier models are not available for some reason, then we can, fall back to the open model that's in our local environment. So in the maturity language, this is a level 3 decision, organizational infrastructure decision. Model choice used to be a technical preference, but now it's a strategic decision.
Okay, thanks, Jake. I've learned a lot. Let's wrap this up. A chief executive is listening now and wants to know ladders, loops, harnesses, export controls. What do they actually do this quarter?
I would suggest 3 things. This is basically summarizing what's been discussed. One is to place yourself honestly on the 5 maturity levels I talked about. So most of you are at level 1, and that's a starting point, not a failure. The risk is not being at level 1. The risk is not knowing where you are. So for those who are at this level, pick your next level deliberately. So aim for level 2. My second advice is to match your governance to your level before you climb the ladder. Use the structures you already have, but write specific rules for specific use cases. Keep a named human accountable for outcomes. As you automate more work, make sure the checks and safeguards are built into the system from the start. So rather than building the AI automation and then put checks and balances later, you should consider this when you are designing the system. The same tests that help the AI do a good job are also the ones that help keep it safe. And the last advice I would like to give is treat model choice as a strategic decision. Closed frontier models where you need the edge, open local models where you control matters the most. And a fallback you have actually tested because we now know the switch can be turned off from the other side of the world.
Awesome. And beyond this checklist, what keeps you optimistic? I mean, you've watched your own work get made obsolete 4 times in 4 years. Most people would find that pretty bleak.
Yeah, let me answer with something that happened in my first week at Zeta. Our developers were already advanced. They're using coding agents everywhere, GitHub, Copilot, Cloud Code. But project documents, for example, requirements documents, design documents, were still written by hand, and it takes weeks for a first draft. So I use the same coding agents to generate those documents. First drafts in hours, not weeks, and it was an eye opener for many people here. Not because the technology was new, but because the technology was already at our fingertip. The limitation was imagination. That's why I'm optimistic. I don't think AI will replace everything we think and do, but we can certainly use it to do, more things, more than most of us have imagined yet. So people who are not used to using, cloud code to do documentation and non-technical stuff, it's just the imagination. So the gap between level 1 and level 3 are smaller than it looks. For organizations that start deliberately, can be done.
Awesome. A 10-second vision of the whole episode then. If our listener remembers one sentence, what would it be?
Know your level, match your governance, and remember, Tokumaxing spending thousands of millions of dollars a month on AI consumption is a result, not a goal.
Thanks, Jake, so much. 10 years of AI battle scars generously shared. The key practical security and governance takeaway for me from this episode has been that as we automate more work, we need to make sure the checks and safeguards are built into the system at the same time. So the same tests that will help the AI do a good job are the ones that will help it keep it safe. Too easy. So, listeners, if today has raised any questions about where your organization sits on the AI maturity ladder, this is literally what we do. The Executive Lunch series that started this conversation is continuing around New Zealand, and the team, including both myself and Jake, are easy to find through Theta. If you'd like to join one of our lunches or discuss your AI journey with us, get in touch. Until next time, thanks for listening.